Okay, we're here. It's nicely, soulmaticmag.com, and we're here with
Desarae Dee, and I am an instrumental artist from Ajax, Ontario.
How long have you been making music?
I've been making music for just over 20 years now.
Just over 20 years, that's a long time.
Yes, as I started when I was 6 years old, and I was classically trained for 12 years. And then I kind of branched off into doing gospel music, so playing in church at 13, and then pursuing post-secondary studies in jazz piano.
Okay. Do you sing as well, or just play?
I do sing low-key,
Okay.
but I prefer to be behind the piano.
Okay. Do you do your own arranging?
I do. Sometimes I'll post videos of covers. There's one particular artist that I usually do covers for. His name is Robert Glasper, so he's one of my major influences in the game right now. Most of the stuff I do come up with is very spontaneous, so I'll be sitting in front of my piano one day and I'll just create a melody and then I'll record it. But most of the things I do write are arranged by myself.
Okay. I know that you just put something out, a new project?
I did, actually. I put two projects out. Earlier this summer in June, so 2016, I put out my debut album. It's called 20, and that's basically a collection of different works that I have written over the last 20 years, hence the title 20. And that's also a celebratory album. It celebrates my 20-year musical journey. And then the second album that I released is just a Christmas album, which is a spin-off of videos that I've done, that I did back in 2015, of just different arrangements of Christmas music. A lot of times Christmas music is so traditional, and I was trying to move away from the traditional aspect of hearing a Christmas song. So for example, Jingle Bells, people know it to be a certain way, but I wanted to kind of change it up so that you still have that essence of Jingle Bells, but you hear it from a different perspective.
Let's say with that philosophy, have you found people to be receptive to, I know sometimes people don't like change, right? So yeah. Jingle Bells is Jingle Bells. You know, we want it to sound this way. So have you found that there are those that like something non-traditional?
You know what, surprisingly, I've had people who have appreciated that, because I think from what I gather, a lot of people are trying to move away from the traditional aspect of Christmas songs, and I've heard that, you know, some Christmas songs are just overplayed because they sound the same all the time. So they appreciate a nice, fresh, invigorating taste of a different spin on, I guess, your typical Christmas music. And because my style of playing is like jazz, neo-soul, I kind of use those elements and then kind of arrange it in a way where you still have it, and at the same time I'm bringing in my own style, and people appreciate that.
What would you say your style is?
My style, I am a spontaneous and non-traditional musician. So I try to stay away from tradition and the way that people always do things, because I find that it's overplayed, and I want to bring something different to the table. I don't want to sound like every other church musician that's out there. I want to bring something totally different to the scene. And at the same time, I'm a female, so a lot of that has to play into it, and just really trying to bring up the presence of female musicians in Toronto.
So would you say that that's something that is needed? Like, is that a big focus at the female side of musicians in Toronto?
I believe that that's where I want to go, and I want to kind of pave the way for other female musicians out there, because I know they're out there, they're just hiding. And I feel as though at me coming out into the scene and being that female musician, that others will kind of, you know, be inspired by what I do and want to come out of the shadows as well.
Okay, that's definitely commendable. And I would say probably in my own way of thinking about it, of history, that a lot of artists, there are a lot of semi-artists, I would even say, in that sense, like people who in a negative way only go halfway, and then at another side are lacking that role model or that mentor, that presence, that push to go on to do something more. Would you say that there are people in your own life that you've had that have pushed you to become the Desarae Dee that's sitting before us here?
Yeah, I have to commend my parents first and foremost, because out of everybody, they are my huge inspiration. They're actually the reason why I even got started in music. As being a young child, I didn't want to do music, and growing up in a household where your father is a musician, and of course I have a younger brother, so the choice was, well, am I going to give it to Desarae or am I going to give it to my brother? So my brother had no interest in music, so my dad said, okay, here you go, I want you to take this and I want you to run with it. Obviously at that age I didn't care for music, and it took me a while to really get into it. And I think just growing up and actually being immersed in classical music, I found it was very boring. I wasn't interested. I told my parents I don't want to do it. But back in the 90s, who cared? You have to do it, and there's no way out of it. And going through the process and going through as many teachers as I did, and finally finding one person who believed that I had a gift, and she was determined to bring it out no matter what. And that was my second piano teacher. Her name was Lisa, and she must have saw something in me, because even after going through the first couple years of taking lessons, I actually started to enjoy it because of one person who really believed that I had that gift. And if it wasn't for the push of my parents, I don't think I probably would have been able to do what I do today.
Well, thank God for parents. With your albums that you've put out, have you seen, between, June and then putting out a Christmas album, was there anything that you learned from doing the first one that you had employed in the second one?
Yes, I remember going through the process of the first album, and this is my first album, so it's not like I had like a mentor to kind of guide me on how to do the album in terms of instruments, how I'm supposed to record this and record this. It was kind of a learning process for me. So in my first record, I learned to always do drums first, and that was something that I implemented with the second album, and I noticed that there was a huge difference in how it sounded. Other people who listen to the record probably won't recognize those things, but for me, my ears are sharp. I'll recognize anything, and I'm just like, okay. I learned not to do that for the first album, but to take what I'm learning and implement it in another album and change it, so that now when I put out the Christmas album, I'm happy about it because I can take in what I've learned from the first, implement it in the second, and it makes it sound a lot better.
What would you say would be your favorite song from the first album, 20? And what would be your favorite from the Christmas album?
Well, my favorite from the first album would be called Pressure Flower. Now, that was the single that I dropped for the first album, and that song got a big response when I put it out. And from the Christmas album, I believe my favorite song on there would have to be my arrangement of Mary Did You Know.
Okay. So for the first one, what was the name of it?
The song?
Yeah.
It was called Pressure Flower.
That's a very interesting title.
Yeah.
So where did that come from?
Honestly, I had help with the titles, but after kind of thinking about what to call these songs, the name Pressure Flower, that came from, it kind of outlines my journey as a musician. When you hear the song, you hear like kind of the subtle piano riff that I do in the start of the song, and that kind of represents my starting growth, like getting into being a musician. And then as you go out through the song, it intensifies, and then that's me kind of bursting through and showing people like, this is Desarae Dee, this is what I can do. So it's kind of a direct comparison of my journey as a musician is kind of shown through that.
So if people want to get a hold of you, how would they do that?
Social media. They can visit me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm everywhere on social media at Desarae Dee Music.
So, going back to something you touched on earlier, being non-traditional, and what do you find is the state of music right now? And you can answer that from any point you want to.
Right now, from what I'm hearing, is from both streams, so in Canada and the United States, but mostly in the United States, is a lot of people are just itching to put something out for a quick buck. That's the way I'm seeing music, and you're not seeing the real, hardworking, real music is what's missing right now. From what I'm hearing on mainstream music, we're missing the realness of music, and it feels though we need to get back to that. Whereas it's not just, okay, well, I just want to put something out and I want to be heard for a quick buck, as opposed to people actually putting in the time and the effort to bring out good music, and so that people can appreciate it.
Okay, so, in saying that, taking the time and to put out real music, getting to the soul of the matter, what is real music? What drives your music to be real music?
Well, I think real music is all about, it could come from your personal story. It could be wanting to inspire people through what you do. I know for me personally, anything that I put out, I want people to be inspired by what I do. My trademark is inspiring lives, one music note at a time. So anything that I do, anything that I write, I want it to first obviously inspire me, and then I can use it to inspire other people. Especially going back to what I was saying about being a female in a male-dominated industry, being able to inspire females out there to say, well, I play an instrument, I want to be heard, I don't want to hide anymore, I want to use my gift to elevate other people, I want to use my gift to inspire people. That's the reason why I write music, is because I want to be that person that kind of paves the way, in a sense, for other females like myself who are out there who don't have an outlet to express themselves musically. I kind of want to start that path for them, and that's why I do what I do.
Well, you heard it here. Nicely, soulmaticmag.com. Desarae Dee, thank you.